Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now some classy stuff in the world of boxing. Some very classy stuff. We've had in the last 2.5 years a little bit of a separation. You had two little parties going on. And that was because of the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight that was leading up. You start seeing people on one side and the other side. It was like Republicans and Democrats, Crips and Bloods, and, all that stuff going on. When there's just two brothers about to fight, two of the best in their divisions, right? And because of that, you've had some residue. You have some people that's resentful because the outcome was Terence Crawford beating the hell out of Errol Spence, right? And you got residue because people, since then still don't like Terence Crawford and don't give him his props or whatever. But Errol Spence himself, the classy guy that he's been, throughout his career, this guy says he's pulling for Terence Crawford to beat Terence Crawford, to beat Canelo Alvarez, excuse me. He's pulling for Terence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez. Now, don't get it mixed up with who he says is going to win. He just says that if anybody can pull this off, then Terence Crawford can, right? And he likes the fact that Terence Crawford's daring to be great and going for greatness in the sport. He appreciates it, and he's going to go for him doing so. So, hey, he's taking the lead. So the fans of him should, get on the classy train, because that's very classy to do. He could be resentful towards Terence Crawford. They're not. Only time that Errol Spence is not classy is leading up to fights, when he's got his, he's going to be an antagonist to the guy he's going to fight. He ain't going to just get up there and give him flowers the whole day. So him and Terence Crawford was talking smack towards each other, trashing each other's resumes and stuff like that. But there's a mutual respect there. Errol Spence has handled his business. Terence Crawford come up of late saying that he's not a Hall of Famer, because Terence Crawford, after going from 4 divisions, he's just, basically his point was it's got to be some kind of separation for somebody who's been in 1 division and has been big the whole time. And I've told you guys about Errol Spence the whole time. My point was Errol Spence is great and everything, but I would like to see him in fights where he's not the bigger guy. Because, this coming forward and walking people down and stuff like that, that's all cool when you're the bigger guy. David Benavidez is similar. We're going to see David Benavidez have to box when he gets to cruiserweight. He's still doing well at the light heavyweight, but he hasn't really had to box so much. He's been able to walk people down, and so was the same with with Errol Spence, being able to walk everyone down because he's the bigger fighter. I want to see when he moves up in weight and he starts being that smaller fighter, where you start showing your more attributes, more skill, right? And Terence Crawford has been able to do that. He's not been the bigger fighter in all his fights. So there was a difference there. But at the end of the day, I just think this is great news. Errol Spence is the classy dude that he's been. He's been that way throughout his career. And he's going for Terence Crawford against Canelo Alvarez. And I think that'll be good in bridging the gap between brothers that are, against each other because of these two cats. Because, guys, we got bigger issues than that. Doma Sports Talk worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.